Hey guys, Alexander Nava. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be giving you guys some portrait tips when you're taking portraits outdoors. We're joined today by my friend Maria. She's going to help us with the modeling. And I'm going to try to give you guys as many tips as I can for you beginners. So my first tip in regards to taking better photos is choosing the right gear. So first you want to make sure that you're using the fastest lens possible to make sure you get that nice and blurry background. I'm shooting with a 24-70 2.8 G Master. Now if you can't afford that, you can go out and buy a 50mm 1.8 prime lens. You can pick those up typically for around $200 depending on your system, and if you pick it up used, it's even cheaper. So by shooting at the lower f-stop, you're actually blurring the background out more. So I'm going to show you an example by taking a picture at f4 or f5, maybe even higher, and then showing you a picture at f2.8. Alright, so that's our picture at f7.1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower that f-stop to 2.8, and I'm still at 24mm, but I'm going to lower that to 2.8, and then we're going to see how that looks. Okay, so you can see a slight difference in the background blur, but where you really start to see it is when you get out in the higher focal lengths. So instead of me shooting at 24mm, I'm going to shoot at, let's say, 50mm, and you'll really start to see the separation between the subject and the background. So I'm going to take a photo at f2.8 at 50mm, and you'll see the difference. Alright, so I took a picture at 50mm, and you can already start to see the subject popping out of the background. Now when you're taking portraits, that's what you want to see. You want to see the subject popping out and making sure you see that defined edge. So now to take it even further, I'm going to move to 70mm, which is the highest that my lens will go. You can buy something like an 85mm 1.8 or 1.4, but I'll move over to the 70mm just so you can see what that looks like. That's what it looks like at 70mm. You can really see the edge, and it's much more blatant. Now, if I had a 70 to 200 2.8, I would probably be using that here. I don't own that lens yet, so I'm not using it. But a good lens to pick up if you're going to be mainly doing portraits is probably an 85 1.8 or that 70 to 200. I own the 24 to 70 just because I do events, and it's a really versatile lens for that. Another tip for taking better portraits is to make sure you don't cut off your subject at any of the joints. So if you take a photo and the edge lines up with their knees or their elbows, I don't think elbows is a big one, but mainly their knees, you either want it to cut off above the knee around the thigh area, or you want to get the full feet. If you cut it off around the knee, it just looks awkward and your photo won't look very good. So as you can see, if you cut your subject off at the knee, it doesn't look very well. Now I'm going to retake that photo and cut the photo off at the thigh, or just do a headshot. Another tip is to make sure that you're comfortable with your model. I've shot with Maria probably, have we done 5 shoots now or something? We've done a handful of shoots, and we've been working since I started. So she was one of the first models that modeled for me when I was starting out with my entry-level camera. And so we're comfortable with each other, but if you're working with a new model, maybe get to know them, ask them a question, what their favorite food is, and make sure that they're comfortable. You always want to make sure that they're comfortable, or else it's going to convey their feelings through the photo, and you don't want to creep them out. So another tip to make your photo look better is creating negative space between the model's side and her hands. That'll actually make the figure look even more exaggerated than it really is, and you don't want them to look boxy. So I'm going to take a photo of Maria just with her hands down, kind of looking boxy. It's not going to look very well, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you actually create some negative space. So as you can see there, it looks very boxy, and her hands are really boring. They're not really doing anything. So by adding negative space between the side and the hand, you actually accentuate the figure more. Even if you don't think you have one, you have a figure. Another tip is to make sure that the model keeps their hands busy. Sometimes if they're just laying there on their side like this, it can look boring. So having them touch their face or wrapping it around their waist or even touching some of other parts of their body really help. Now, when you're displaying your hands, you don't want the palm of the hand to face the camera because that never looks good and it's really bad during editing. So by tilting the hand the other way and displaying the back of the hand to the camera, it's just gonna look much nicer, much cleaner, and it's gonna give you a better overall result. Another tip that I have for you is to play around with your lighting. So sometimes if you're in direct contact with the sun can make harsh shadows across the face. And sometimes it's just a matter of flipping your model either sideways or if it's golden hour, you can actually get the bright glow behind them and still have the face properly exposed. So I'm gonna take a photo with the sun directly exposed into Maria's face, and you're gonna be able to tell the difference between directly exposing her, putting her to the side, and then putting her facing away from the sun and the sun behind her. So as you can see, by shooting with her face facing the sun, you really get these harsh shadows across her face. By shooting the other way or sideways, you can really dampen those shadows, and it kind of works as like a spill or as like a backlight, and then that way you get much nicer lighting. Another tip is to show some of the photos to your model during the shoot. Sometimes it can really encourage them and they can see what they're doing right and maybe see things that you may not see. You know, maybe they know how their makeup should look and maybe you don't. So definitely show them some pictures. It's great encouragement and you'll never know what they'll point out or give you an idea. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys did learn something. Go ahead and tell Maria how much of a great job she did in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos with me or me and Maria, please give us a subscribe and like this video if you liked it.